Dear students, welcome to this new class of the Rule Governance course. In this course, we will discuss a little bit more of rule bases, of the mechanisms by which rule bases function and how they are maintained. It will not be a technical class. We will not discuss about technologies relying on rules, but of the general mechanisms involving rules. Let us consider a simple story. Suppose that Samuel lives in a sunny country. He is used to never check the weather before going out. Raphael, instead, was born and grew up in a rainy country. He is used to always check the weather of the day before going out. However, for both of them, it is perfectly reasonable and right to take the umbrella if it rains. What do you expect to happen if they switch of country of residence? That is, Samuel moves to Raphael's country and Raphael moves to Samuel's country. They will maintain or modify their behavior after a while. A central point that this story is meant to convey is that in everyday life we do not deliberate at each moment what to do next. I'm not every time trying to decide what is the best course of action starting from first principles, that is, simulating all possible primitive actions I could perform. Our practical reasoning is mostly based on applying already structured behavioral scripts. But where such scripts come from? They are constructed by education, experience, and refined by some adaptation process. A similar argument can be addressed towards collective systems. In fact, the very existence and maintenance of sources of law are an example of structuration, that is, the process that brings to the construction of a social structure. In common law countries, this is also exemplified by the stare decisis principle, or the principle of binding precedent. If a conclusion in a certain condition was right in the past, then it's also right now. So we can consider a simplified architecture of our agent, divided in two parts. The operational part is a regulated system that interacts according to the rules with the environment. Because it needs just to follow the rules of behavioral scripts that have been given, this system can be purely reactive. The regulatory system is instead the one that provides rules to the regulated system. For doing so, it needs to perform some reflection upon the regulated system, for instance by assessing how well it is functioning. This simplified architecture highlights that the central focus is on rule bases, that is, collections or organizations of rules meant to guide the behavior of the agent. Rules are exchanged or executed, and as such they are informational objects that need to be managed. Now, if we look at rule bases, we observe that they are generally never sufficient to cover all possible situations and behaviors. Typically, there is a need to learn new rules from exemplary decisions taken from some authority. These decisions are generally articulated along two dimensions: on the dimension of motivation, by means of argument and backings, capturing why this conclusion has to be different with respect to a certain decision, which is suggested by the current rule base; on a conceptual dimension, which corresponds to distinguishing specifically this situation from the default usual case. For instance, I can say that in general privacy needs to be protected. However, it might turn out that using this rule as it is could bring not to share information for medical necessity. Therefore, we need to add a new rule. For instance, we value the life of a person more than potential damages for releasing her privacy. For this reason, if life is at stake, data sharing is allowed. And this conclusion is different from the general privacy rule because we attempt to save that person's life. Given this introduction, we will consider two problems concerning the use and maintenance of rules. The first problem is consistency. Given a new rule, what happens to the rest of the rule base? Let us consider a simple example. So let's say that we have this rule. On Sunday, we eat outdoor. It is nice, we feel the summer approaching. However, we have also another rule that states that if it is raining, we do not eat outdoor. But then, what to do when both conditions are present, that is, when it is Sunday and it is raining? A possible solution is to define a priority between the rules, for instance, that R2 has more priority than R1. If it is raining, even if it is Sunday, we do not eat outdoor, as R2 is stronger than R1. Introducing priorities brings us to the domain of defeasible reasoning, that is, where claims can be defeated introducing new facts. Law provides a few formal mechanisms to define priorities between rules. This can be read as meta-rules, that is, rules about rules. We have the most recent law is the stronger one, the law with lower abstraction is stronger, the position of the norm in the hierarchy of the legal system provides a priority. A few examples. If yesterday I told you we need to study this book for the exam, and today I tell you we do not need to study this book for the exam, it is natural to follow the second directive. Suppose that there is no dress code at the university. For diploma ceremonies, however, it is expected one dresses a little bit more formally. If tomorrow there is a ceremony, we know that the second rule applies. For the third type, suppose the king says that everybody should wear brown shoes. Now, even if the prince says that you have to wear blue shoes, the king's directive is stronger. Similarly, in our legal systems, the constitution and laws enacted by the parliament are stronger than administrative regulations. Let us check whether you have understood. Which of these two rules has priority according to you? The use of priority is, however, not the only way to deal with the problem of conflicts between rules. An alternative solution is to modify the premises of the rules which have less priority. Let us return to our previous example. On Sunday we eat outdoor. If it is raining, we do not eat outdoor. We have said that the second is the rule with a higher priority. What we need to do is to add an exception. We eat outdoor on Sunday unless it is raining. The way in which we write it is, however, if it's Sunday and it is not raining, then we eat outdoor. As you may remember, the unless element in argumentation schemes is called reservation or rebuttal according to the terminology of Toulmin. This way of looking at the problem is also aligned with the distinguishing action in common law. We do not apply this general rule to this case because in this case we have this specific element that produces a different result, that makes another norm intervene.